Hello guys, and welcome back to another tiny tutorial. And in today's video I want to talk about how I sculpt hair in a quick way. And I have to say, when you're doing hair, then you can do it in many different ways. So of course you can use the fiber mesh system here in Zbrush, or you can go over in Maya, for example, and use the X gene system for that. Or there are many different other programs out there where you can create some visual effects hair. But I think when you just have a little bit of hair, like you can see here on this model, then sculpting hair is definitely easier, especially when it comes to the workflow. Visual effects hair has a different workflow than when you're sculpting hair, so I think that's an easier way to do that. And I'm not really sure if this is really hair. I just blend in the reference I had here. It's from the Jurassic Park 3 movie, and they had like these little hairs here on the back of the hat, and I would just say it's like feathers thing. I think because they put the reference from real velociraptors, because we all know that velociraptors had feathers in the past, and all the movies are more fantasized when it comes to these creatures. But yeah, I think this is kind of a hair feather thing here. So yeah, how do I do them? So first of all, let's just turn them off. And the first thing you have to do is, when you have your model, and normally you put some hair on a creature when you already modeled it a little bit, so you have more details on it. And when you have this, then you have definitely a bunch of subdivision levels on your model. For making the hair, I'm using the curve tube brush. It's a default brush in Zbrush, so no need to download anything. But to use this brush, we can't use this brush on a mesh where you have subdivision levels on, so we have to get rid of these. You can do that in two ways. The first way is just going down here on the geometry, and here's a button, freeze subdivision levels, and you can click that, and then you just freeze the levels, and you can work on them, and then you click the button again, and the subdivision levels will appear again. Sometimes it crashes when I do that. I don't know, maybe they fixed this. But when you don't really like using this button, then you can do it in another way, and this is the way I really like using. And it's when you have your mesh here with the subdivision levels, then you can just duplicate it, then go down here, and normally I just go pretty down with the subdivision levels, then I delete the higher ones, so I have just the shape of it, because we don't really need anything else, just the shape where we can create these brushes on. And you can, for example, when you're not in a solo mode, you can just turn the other one off. And to not get confused, I would recommend just renaming it, so you know that this is the low poly version. In the past, I accidentally deleted the other one without saving, so yeah, please be careful with that. So the best way is to just rename the low poly model. And then we can actually go into creating the hairs. So how we are doing the hair now, you can click here on the curve tube brush. It is a default one, like I said, and then you can just drag it up. Now I'll just use another material so you can see it better. Turning this off. So you can see that you just drag up a kind of a tube thing, and you can still, when you're seeing this little button here, you can keep moving with it actually, right? And you can also replace it here when you're dragging the end points. And you can also, you can see here the blue circle. When you have the blue circle, you can just push and pull it. But when you're going more out, you get the red circle again. And when you're going a little bit down with the size, and then you clicking on one of the points here, and you can see you can make the size and the thickness different. So you can do that again when you're just making it very, very thick, and click again. So you can just control that and not going back. This is a pretty handy thing to do. So this is one thing you can do, but we want kind of a hair shape, what means that we want a thicker base here, and it should go thinner when you are going to the tip. And we can do that by, let me just redo this. So you can do that by going to the stroke menu, and then going down here to the curve modifier, to the size, and then click here the curve fall off. And when you're just changing the curve, then you can change the shape of the curve. And always remember that the left side is always the base and the right side is always the tip of the stroke. So you can do it like this. You go back, and when you drag it out, now you can see that the base is thick and the tip is pretty small. So you can do this, and now you can just push around, and then when you want to do another hair, you can just click on the mesh here without having the blue circle on. Just click it and then drag another out. Click, drag another out. Click, drag another out. Okay, so you can actually do spikes and hairs and something like that pretty fast. And when you're just going here and look at the polygroups, you can also see that you have different kind of polygroups here. And remember that when you're dragging this brush out, then everything is just in one mesh, right? It is all in the low poly mesh, so you have to actually split all the things you created here. And the easiest way is to just click on the Control and Shift button at the same time, and then click on the mesh, and then click on the mesh again, and the only thing what is left is here the spikes. When you're just masking this, push Control and Shift again, so you get the whole model back. And when you have these little spikes masked, then you can split the mask points. And I think, where is the button for that? Oh, here. From the subtool menu, you can go here to split, and then you have these options here. So just click on the split mask points, and you see that these little spikes are now just one subtool and not sitting on the low poly mesh here. Another thing what I can mention is you see that these have a very high resolution, and I really like just going down with it a little bit. I mean, you can go up every time, but having it on a lowest level is better for the whole poly count. So what I normally do is just going to the Z-remesh section here, and then you can go to the target poly count and then just click 1, for example, and click Z remesh. And now you see that it has a better resolution. You can also go more down if you want to, for example, 0.2. Click enter and then Z remesh. And it gets lower and lower. And for spikes or hair, for example, that's a pretty cool thing to not go too high with the poly count. Yeah, that's that. And if you want them just smaller, then you can smooth this out, of course. Or you can, when you when you're pushing the Z remesh button, you can also put the keep groups button. So then you will keep the groups, but you can also just go here and click the outer group button as well, so you have different poly groups. And now what you can do is just moving them around or selecting just one of the poly groups, and you can also split this one and move this only around, or duplicate it and set it on different angles, and you can play around with that. And yeah, I think that's it for the hair. It is really easy to do hair with that, or to do spikes in general. So yeah, I hope this helps, and let me know if something is unclear so I can just make another video of that. I hope we see us in the next video. Bye bye.